The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max wishes you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
What time is it?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Undisputed Era has arrived.
You have the 25 days of Christmas. Impact's going to have the 25 days of releases.
I send it you to deletion! Yeah!
It's hashtag Alpha versus Omega.
Let's just say hashtag aroused.
No, you're going to step in that ring, and you're going to be looking at me eye to eye, and you're going to realize you ain't got a chance.
Thank God we don't have to talk about it anymore, because she got that cancer out of there.
Sean stole my answer. I'm just glad we don't have to talk about this anymore.
And that's not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Santa? Oh, sorry.
So I think we could take the top rope and just do away with it altogether. You hear me on that? Let's talk about celebrating. Like, we can...
I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
Prawn, we're kind of in the middle of something right now.
I didn't know you had elves working here.
You're hilarious, my friend.
He doesn't know. He thinks he's an elf.
Does Santa know you left the workshop?
You know, we're all laughing our heads off.
Did you have to borrow a reindeer to get down here?
Jack, I get more action in 1 week than you've had in your entire lifetime. I have houses in LA, Paris, and Vail.
Ooh.
All with 70-inch plasma screens. So I suggest you wipe that stupid smile off your face before I come over there and smack it off. Are you feeling strong, my friend? Call me out one more time.
Ooh. He's kind of an angry little elf.
Oh no.
Ooh.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Ho, 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 and welcome to Wrestling to the Max, episode 278, and we are coming down your chimney once again for another great episode. We are ready for part two, and this is going to be really exciting because we are jumping into lots of great topics. We're getting into some more news about Vince McMahon and this football league stuff. We'll be talking about some other interesting things when it comes to new additions to WWE, possibly in the future, and of course some other big wrestling news. Don't forget also we'll be talking Final Battle in this episode. That's right. We didn't do it on Tuesday's show. We're doing it tonight, and I'm really looking forward to that. And we're getting into a Superstar of the Week, of course. So we'll have lots of different things for you guys tonight, all exciting and one nice gift package. We are ready for this thing, though, guys. It is the holiday season. I am super thrilled about being here with these guys. Of course, I am your host, Gary Vaughan, and along with me is Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Paul Leazar. Hey guys, I mean, things are going crazy. I know my work schedule is going nuts. I know you guys have had to deal with the holidays and all the different things, the hustle and bustle and everything that's been going on. But, you know, it's nice. And, you know, we're really probably going to have some interesting things coming up this new year. But we're ending it with a fun holiday season. So, Sean, what you got going this year for Christmas? You have any big plans?
I assume they'll do what they always do, which is my grandpa, which I can actually participate in because every other year it's been I have to work sometime on Christmas Eve because you have Christmas Day off. So I usually never get to go, but they'll do the, Latino thing where you stay up till, well, it's not just Latino thing, but they do it. Every other Latino family I've been around, my step family and all that, they did it the same way. You stay all the way up until the 24th. I open the gifts. Technically, it's still Christmas morning. I don't know why they call it the 24th if you're still opening the gifts up on the 25th. It's so weird. Like, just say that you still celebrated on Christmas Day. But like, it's just, you want to be different so bad sometimes. So it's like, they open up the gifts, you get there, and then of course we'll do Christmas Day whenever Anaya wakes up, and I'm excited for her to see all the fun gifts that, she actually got almost everything she asked for this year, except we're not buying her a puppy because the way she treats poor Bambino, I don't want I can't, for one, we don't need two dogs peeing all over the house, and this dog is old and territorial. I don't want to know what happens to that puppy when I'm not around. So, yeah. So, but everything else, Barbie Dreamhouse and all that, she can be happy that to have her eyes wide open on Christmas. And that's going to be such an awesome time to get to see that and have fun. And it's all about them when, as soon as they get to that age where they know it's Christmas and they get to wake you up and get excited and everything, and you get to remember how old you are now. So
yeah. Ain't that the truth? I feel my age every year because then I start noticing it's more about, getting all those gifts for my daughter and making sure that she's excited on Christmas morning. And do I even get anything? I don't know. I really don't care.
That's the same way I am. I'm just like, I don't really care. I think my mom's gift to me is new glasses, which technically I do need them. It's been like 2 years, so I'm happy for that because my glasses are like falling apart. And it's so weird. Like when I was in high school with my dad, I would have never imagined being like this right now. We're like, I don't care if I don't get anything. As long as she gets everything, that's all I care about. So weird,
Yeah, very, very strange. That's part of growing up, I guess. Gosh darn it. Oh, man. But, Paul, what's going on in your world during Christmas?
Well, I don't really get a choice. I have to face my age every year around this time because I get older.
That's true.
Yep. Big 3-0 this year on Monday, so I get to be an old man now.
Hey. Yep.
Yeah.
It's really all downhill from then.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Poor Paul in the 30s now. Oh, joining the club.
Life's over, right? It's done?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I figured.
30 is the new 60.
Just go ahead and start pulling that hair out right now, Paul. Just go ahead and do it now.
Well, at least you guys will still have hair.
Yeah.
I'm going bald by the second, so.
That's the reason why I keep letting mine grow out, because I know it's all going to be gone someday, so you just got to appreciate it while you have it.
That's right.
Do you have that gene, Gary, or are you the lucky one that gets to keep your hair?
No, well, I get to keep a little bit of my hair. It's kind of funny because I do have friends like, hey, the back there in the back's not as thick as it used to be, huh? So, it's thinned out a little bit, to be honest with you. So it's not perfect. I got my grandfather on my mom's side, his hair, because he thinned out, but he never really lost it all. So,
yeah.
As long as I'm not doing a comb over, I'm okay.
All the dudes, except for one, he's the youngest. He's only like 3 years older than I am. He decided to start getting Rogaine because he was like, I'm not. All my other uncles they decided we're just going to be bald because they lost their hair pretty quick. What sucks is like our family's, it's in the middle. So I have the big bald spot in the middle that you can see is starting to show up. It's not as bad right now because I have the crew cut or whatever, the buzz cut. But like when I actually have hair, it's bad because I have like a thick head of hair, but then you have the big spot in the middle. It's like, oh, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah, baldness runs on both sides of the family for me, so my hair's already starting to thin, but it's so long and thick right now that you can't tell, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Please don't go away.
Don't blame you.
Yeah. Well,
enjoy it while you have it, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and more on my end, it's maybe not more of the losing part, maybe more of it's turning white and gray fast, so I've got to deal with that battle, you know? So I look like it just got a bunch of snow in my beard all of a sudden. I'm like, what the heck?
You can really be Santa
distinguished at 35. Like, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's a bonus until people start going, oh, look at your old man. I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah. So
I bet your wife will be the first one to make all the jokes. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Amanda's already done it. Trust me. My self-esteem has been very low. So. And the other problem is I didn't know what stuff to take apparently to keep your hair. I didn't know about Rogaine. I've been taking Viagra. Wrong medication.
Whoops!
Wow, you're growing hair in the wrong place, dude.
Oh well, I'll get this stuff down one of these days.
I mean, at least you could trim that.
Yeah. I was wondering what was going on. Oh boy, but yeah, it's Christmas time, and these old guys are talking about it being old. So, oh man, no, I just love the holidays, guys.
And I'm sure there's like a 40-something-year-old guy going like, "What the hell are y'all talking about?"
Like, if Tom's listening, I'm so sorry, Tom. Like,
yeah, really.
Tom's just like, you guys are idiots. Click.
Yeah.
No. Tom's amazing. Oh man.
Yeah.
But just excited about this, and I hope everybody listening has a great holiday. You know, we just want to kind of have fun with it and everything like that. So we'll be doing some really cool things. You know, next week we'll be doing some New Year's resolution stuff for you guys. Usually every year around Christmas time we kind of do a Christmas gift or Christmas wish list, but we figured this year we'll do a New Year's resolution. That way we can kind of have some fresh ideas and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be pushing that off till next week. But right now we're going to enjoy our holiday, and by doing that we are about to jump into some wrestling news. So why don't we go do that, and we'll do some quick hits right now.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Take it away, Gary.
All right, guys. Well, talking about all this stuff and everything that's been going on, as we know, Vince McMahon has been rumored to be really getting involved in this football thing, right? And we kind of talked about this on Tuesday about, what's his thought process and, where they're going to be going with this whole XFL or UFL, whatever it's going to be, what's going to happen. But it seems like Vince is really determined on this project, and apparently he has sold $100 million worth of WWE stock. And this leads us to believe a few things, and one thing that could be creeping up on us again is the idea that, Vince McMahon could be selling the company. It could maybe possibly happen. That's just one of those things you got to put in the back of your mind. But what do you guys think about this? I mean, Paul, looking at this is kind of crazy. Once again, just to think that this all is coming to fruition, it's all coming at us pretty fast.
Yeah, if people were on the fence about it still being rumors, I think this is pretty sort of pointing in the direction that whatever he's going to be doing with Alpha Entertainment, and it does look like it's going to be football, is indeed going to be happening. I don't know if I'm on board with the rumors going around that he's looking to sell again, or that he's open to the idea of it. Just because, to me, if you can keep it in the family and keep the money rolling in for yourself, you still have something to go back on if/when football doesn't work out for Alpha Entertainment or whatever the heck he's trying to do here.
For me, what's so weird is that, remember that Forbes interview that he did where he said those weird lines about, well, I don't know, I kind of feel like almost that attitude of, well, if I can't have it, I don't want anybody else in the family to have it. And he was okay with selling it to somebody else outside of, Triple H, Stephanie, Shane. At that point, Shane wasn't involved. I know it sounds weird with how much, the family is involved on TV and everything else, but I just, why do you even say that in an interview and sound very serious about it if that actually hasn't been creeping up in your mind at one point. Maybe, he's changed that attitude in a couple of years now that he's seen what Triple H can really do and how successful, NXT has been, and maybe he trusts them more. Maybe at that point it was a trust issue. And with Shane back, especially, like knowing that, okay, well, he will be in the family, but it's so, when he gets determined about things, and if he really feels like, oh, everybody keeps saying I don't have it, and it's like, well, I don't want somebody else succeeding over me, so I'm going to sell my empire to go build another empire or whatever. What's dumb is that, look, this is already failed one time. You sell WWE off to somebody else, and let's say that they kill WWE entirely and they turn it into, nothing that has to do with wrestling. It's gone. Mm-hmm. Like, you're done. So like that's something that you have to think about. It's like once it's sold, and that person decides, unless you make them sign a contract that it has to stay about wrestling, which I guess you can do that too. But like it's over with at that point. So like, do you really want to sell your safety net for something that could die the same year that you do it, just like the XFL did? I mean, sometimes it's not just about look. We wax poetic on the Tuesday show about all he has to do is be NFL light. Yeah, maybe it sounds that simple, but there's a reason the NFL is the NFL, and nothing else has come up against it, for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. And, I think that Vince McMahon is a smart businessman, and he has all these ideas of grandeur and probably has a whole plan based on his financials, based on some of the things he wants to happen in the future, or maybe just taking risk. But I think he also understands some of the things you guys are talking about. I think he knows that, hey, I've already done this. This is not something that's brand new. I've already learned that, hey, these things can fail. And so I have a really hard time believing that he is going to completely sell WWE. I think if he sells it at all, it would be to one of the family members. And, either Triple H and Stephanie would try to find a way to grab it, or, maybe the whole Shane and Stephanie both try to grab this thing. I just don't see it going out of the family. And I'll also see Vince McMahon really wanting that company until the day he dies to have the stamp of the McMahons. I don't think that he can go to his grave knowing that it was not his till the very end. So I just have a hard time believing he would just get rid of it completely. I think this idea, XFL or whatever what's going to be technically, it's a big deal for him, and it's been something he's wanted to succeed for a long time, and I think that he's just grabbing onto an opportunity. There's an opportunity. He's finding a way to make it happen, and if he does, he does, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, not because I want it to succeed, but just because I'm kind of curious. I mean, I really do want to see what kind of ideas he has in mind. He's very good friends with a lot of different people and high positions, and Jerry Jones is one of his friends, and I'm sure he's getting some information from him and things like that on what they do to be successful in the NFL and try to maybe copy a few things. So it's really interesting. This whole process is really throwing out many rumors coming out of what we're finding out as we go, but I think the thought process of him selling is a little bit of a stretch. I think more of everything else that's coming out, though, is more fact-based and true. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm really, hoping to see what's going to happen here. The one thing I do think that he should consider is maybe instead of doing his own league, just go buy the Carolina Panthers. They're out there. I mean, you can change it, whatever you want to change their name, whatever you feel like's best. But, I mean, come on. Just go do that.
Does he have the money? I mean, like, NFL teams are super expensive.
Yeah, you got to be like, we talked about this on the kickoff with Harry and them. Like, Diddy wants to do it. You're going to have 5 Diddies in order for that to work. Mm-hmm. Like, it can't just be Diddy. Even Diddy, Steph Curry, and some other guy are not going to be enough. That's a lot of money you got to have for that to work, to pay all those players, the staff, everybody. Think about all the money you're selling out. Well, what you pay The Rock and some of the Cena or whatever, you're paying that to almost every single player, not not just 2 or 3 people.
I'm sure the president would give him a loan. They're pretty good friends.
Oh, God.
He could call them the Carolina Oranges, you know.
No.
Just for Sean. Just for Sean.
No.
Oh boy. So
maybe the league should just disown Carolina if that's going to happen.
Oh no! Come on, no. If you live in Carolina, Sean's just Anyway, we all love you in Carolina, but no.
If Trump's going to be in it, he might as well because he's going to ruin it. So.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean, let's jump on over to something else that's really interesting. Dave Batista is wanting to come back to wrestling full time. Now that's what we're hearing. There's been some reports, in the past that says that he does want to do this, but we're hearing more of these kind of rumblings that he wants to get back into WWE just for a run here and maybe one last run. And he's okay doing house shows. He wants to do everything. He's not one of these guys that wants to take, it light and just kind of come here or there. He wants to do the full blast run and, do everything that's involved in being a WWE superstar. This is really interesting. Sean, I mean, I recently heard him, I believe it was on one, I don't think it was Jericho. I think it was actually Jim Ross's podcast kind of talking about this, but it was all kind of speculation. But if this is coming true, what do you think about Batista being back in just, for this run?
I mean, you would think you won't have the Daniel Bryan problem this time around. Let's not hold our breath. You never know with WWE, but I feel like now that he's such a much bigger star, I think people will appreciate him more. I don't think he necessarily needs to be cheered because he obviously doesn't care about that, and he enjoys being the heel, and he's great at it. So, I think as long as you're not booing him out of spite, then it's a win for WWE. He draws attention. He brings a lot of casual eyes. You'll have him there during the time where Guardians will be in the Avengers movies, so you'll get press from that as well, which, we know Vince loves all that. So if he's willing to do it and then also possibly put his movie career in kind of flux while that's happening, then more power to him, I guess.
Flux is a great term for it because if he does come back to the WWE and a movie wants to approach him about possibly being in it, they have to negotiate through WWE to get him to be on it. So that could be kind of a turn-off to the cats over there in Hollywood if that does go down. But
I'd imagine it's like Brock with MMA, though. He would just sign into the deal that WWE... I mean, couldn't he make them sign a thing where WWE really can't say no if Batista wants to be in a movie?
I suppose he could, but I guess it also depends on how long his run would be, right? I mean, if it's 6 months, then, big deal. If it's a year, maybe a little longer, who knows?
But if he's doing house shows, which Brock is not, I feel like he'd get more slack because you're seeing him every day as opposed to like every, 3 months or whatever, unless he's doing a storyline where he's on Raw here and there.
I don't know. I don't know if that would really buy him slack, because to me, now you're committing to being there basically every day, and if you're only there for a short amount of time and suddenly you have to disappear for 3 months to go film a movie, or 2 months, or however long you'd have to be gone, I don't know how okay WWE would be with that, and I assume that's why you have to negotiate with WWE, is because they have to figure out how to work it into their timetables with booking and everything, so...
I feel it'd be more like The Rock, that if they'd be more scared about, well, what if you get injured?
It could be that too, but I think when you go to The Rock versus Batista, as far as Hollywood's concerned, I think you're probably talking about two different levels.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
As far as the wrestling goes, I can't say I would hate it, especially if he's heel Batista, because that was by far my favorite Batista. But I don't know. WWE is in a weird spot right now because I don't know where you throw them unless you just throw them on Raw and just put them over there and let them keep that whole main event scene sort of that way. But like we keep waiting for them to push new guys, and it's part-timers and other names that they've already relied upon before coming back, and it's just, I don't know if it's a step backwards, but I don't know if it's great for the WWE to bring him back in wrestling-wise. Publicity-wise, everything else, it's what Sean said. This guy's Drax the Destroyer. I'm sure people would want him just to come to the ring as Drax the Destroyer and be Drax the Destroyer and all that great stuff. So
that's definitely money right there in your pocket, WWE, if you want to. But of course, I'm sure
there's
Marvel.
Also money
Disney,
you got to go pay out to Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that licensing fee.
Nope.
Yeah, they already went through that with Hogan for so many years. I doubt that they want to. They had to actually, didn't they eventually just have to come to a settlement or whatever, so that they just have to stop paying Marvel for it?
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think you want to do that again.
Yeah, I'm sure not. So yeah, I think that's pretty much out of the question. But I think Batista being back is not a terrible thing. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's a guy that definitely is going to bring some notoriety. And the mainstream people out there, hearing about, what's going on with Dave Batista, he's wrestling now. That's an interesting fact because that brings in some viewers that may have stepped away from wrestling or may not know much about it just to see what it's about and may get hooked. So I think that's another part of this equation that helps WWE. But like you guys said, I mean, movies and the fact that this guy kind of can call his own shots. He's shown that he's successful outside of wrestling. He doesn't really need it. That's another thing that kind of brings up a lot of questions for WWE, because do they really want a guy that can kind of do that can kind of say yes or no, and they can't do much about it, right? Mm-hmm. So that there's a lot of things, but I think, Paul, you bring that good point of, they're trying to build new superstars. It's such a great idea to be bringing back somebody who is going to fill a spot and take some time away from some of these other guys that really are still learning, but at the same time who've been moving up the ladder. So, I don't know.
He's also 49, too, which might be something else to keep an eye on.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know that. Yeah. Man. But, hey, you know what? If it's a specialty run, if it's based on one certain thing and it's not, he's going for the Universal title or the WWE Championship, I think we can get past a lot of
is he going to have, Goldberg matches? Because I'd imagine that 49, even if you're taking all the wonderful HGH and all that stuff, trying to do Batista bombs on everybody is eventually going to wear on your biceps and everything else, and you might be tearing stuff really quickly and find yourself more on the sidelines than you are in the ring. I mean, he might have to change his wrestling style if he's going to be wrestling at 49 and trying to do all the big power stuff.
Very true.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And another thing is that this is a guy that has, got the crowd behind him before and also had the crowd hating because, like you said, Sean, about the Daniel Bryan stuff. And it really does make you wonder if people are going to be just into him just because of the drag stuff. And if they don't get the drag stuff, are they going to kind of move away from him? Are they going to start to kind of...
Gary, all he has to do is wear blue trunks, and we're good.
Blue Tista! Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Those chant that. And you can play them with Rusev and be like, Blue Tista Rusev Day.
Oh,
man.
The memes are strong.
Exactly.
Man. The Force is definitely...
Then have Aiden English sing about it. Can you imagine?
Oh. What a gift. What a gift that would be.
Yes.
God.
We just see that happen.
I know. I'll have to see if that ever does, but yeah, I mean, this is all, up in the air.
I wonder how Simon Gotch feels right now. How did I screw that up? Look at that. Aiden English making it work.
Well, Simon Gotch he's not a cat anyway. I don't know. Oh. Someone else who's an odd cat is Randy Orton, though, and he is going to be having a lighter schedule. This guy, is not doing the Batista thing. He's definitely going to be taking some time off. He'll have a lighter schedule in January, February, or March. We're looking for him to be off and then coming back for WrestleMania time. So this guy, has been definitely a big player on SmackDown and WWE in general. But it looks like, up in age, kind of moving on to different things. This guy, the lighter schedule, to me, makes sense. So, Paul, do you feel like this is a good idea? What do you think they're thinking here?
It means I don't have to watch him anymore, Gary, which is what I'm super hyped about.
Woo. He's beating Mojo to the hype.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, so he won't. He's already not doing weekend house shows. That's going to continue. I don't know how much more time off he'll get past that, but if he's working lighter, then, it definitely frees up a lot of room over on the SmackDown side of things to sort of be a bigger player for some of these guys, which is nice. And for somebody who has been way more up and down and mostly down these last couple of years, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I think this is a win for everybody, right? Orton is looking at Cena and saying, "Look, I've done my time just like him. Why can I not have part-time status or whatever? Maybe I didn't make the mainstream like Cena did, but wrestling-wise, you guys always put me as his equal, so I should be getting that time." He has a wife and kids that he'd want to spend more time with, I'm sure, and yeah, he's reached that time where he doesn't need to be doing it all the time. And like Paul said, the most important thing is this opens that door for some of the guys, even some of the older guys like, Rude and Nakamura, that you'd have to think that they're on borrowed time as well. They're in WWE and need to have that time to become big so, WWE can bank on them for the time that they're going to be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some great points, and I'm right there with you guys. Randy Orton taking a break will make my life a lot easier on SmackDown. So just watching that show, yeah. Paul, we do NXT every week here on the network, and it's a lot of fun, and we get excited about these big special takeover shows. And apparently, we're going to get 5 this next year, and we're going to get one on Money in the Bank weekend, which means that it's going to be a pretty huge weekend for WWE in general. And so, it seems to me they want these specials to kind of tag along these big WWE events. And so they want Money in the Bank to be up there with Mania and Rumble and SummerSlam and these other shows. It's kind of cool.
Right. I guess they're keeping the 5 thing as a fixture. And just sort of keeping it in the same spot now, because they've done 5, I think, since 2016. Maybe it's only this year they only started doing 5. Either way, this is great. More takeovers is great. I love takeover every time we have to talk about it or watch it or get an opportunity to see it. I got to say I've been to one now, and I had a great time, so the more the merrier.
Yeah, it's something all 3 of us have done on the show now, which is cool to be able to say, and just like you said, every time they outdo themselves, it's crazy. You'd think, okay, they're finally going to hit that point where they're not going to be able to do it, and they do. Having 5 gives you another one to get excited about, and Money in the Bank being dual branded always makes more sense. It felt kind of weird just having only a SmackDown briefcase, and then introducing the women to have that second ladder match that they would have had Raw been involved. So, do they have 4 ladder matches now? But that's crazy. People are worried about having 2 Rumbles. Can you imagine having 4 ladder matches? So, regardless of that, I think TakeOver being with all the pay-per-views, they've kind of made that a thing now. It works for them. It gives NXT TakeOver publicity along with what's going on with the main roster, and people seem to enjoy it, having that whole weekend there. I think NXT as a whole is starting to, that buzz has been dropping for a while, and you're starting to see it in the stands, even for these takeovers. But the show's still delivering. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and pairing them up with these big pay-per-views, it's a big deal. But what's also interesting is when you have these big pay-per-views, you always have that battle of, is NXT going to be better than the main roster show, right? And that's what's fun. I think it's competition, and I think that really does help. It's really kind of cool to see everybody trying to step their game up, just to kind of have some friendly competition there. So I think this is a good deal. Really happy to see it. Not a bad move on their part. Let's jump into this, Sean. I mean, we have that news stuff come out about War Machine possibly joining up with WWE. We're hearing more and more of that. We're also hearing Ricochet and War Machine could be signing pretty early this next year, and War Machine could be even involved in some things with WWE as soon as February, it seems. So what do you think about these teams, with these three guys joining up in WWE?
Well, one, if WWE had a trios title, they would certainly, the three of them together would be amazing. But taking them as they are, Ricochet has been like the story that say, hello, whenever it is that you're showing up, please let us know, because this has just been there for a year almost, and I guess this is the time that we're feeling it might be happening, or the dirt sheets are feeling it might be happening. War Machine's interesting because we talked about how he wanted Raymond Rowe for a while. You kind of felt like Hanson was going to come with him because them as a tag team has been what's been amazing. Had them as a tag team. If you want to split them off, great. Just please no. I mean, as much as I love Harper and everything, both these guys are talented, and they deserve to be able to be separated and have their own gimmicks and be successful. And hopefully, they don't just turn into another Harper and Rowan where, hey, great tag team. Oh, now what do we do with them? We don't know what to do with them, and they just become nothing. That's the only thing I'm a little worried about. Is what do you do with them outside the tag team? But Ricochet, I feel like is going to be NXT for a while because I don't think he's made it very, very apparent he will not go to the 205. So he'll be in NXT until they figure out what to do with him for the main roster, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I think War Machine is basically going to be one of those tag teams, and if it ever comes time to split them, which I don't know why you would, at least for the foreseeable future, just because they're a phenomenal team together. I think you just cross that bridge when you get there. For now, it looks like NXT is also in their future, which is where people are thinking they're going to be on the tapings after the Philly show. Ricochet is basically, I think, just a matter of time until that non-compete or the TV clause from his Lucha deal goes away. He'll be on there pretty quick. It's surprising to me that War Machine could be there as early as February when we're just now hearing that they finished up with Ring of Honor, which leads me to think that their deal with them sort of expired earlier this year, and they've been working on a handshake deal waiting until the WWE felt comfortable to approach them after the 90 days was up from their contract expiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was wondering the same thing, especially for the fact that,
Well, didn't we report for a while that Rowe was working without a contract, or both of them?
I feel like I remember us talking about them resigning for another year, either at the end of last year or earlier this year or something like that, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, was very interested about that, and that could make sense. The handshake deal would really give a credence to why they'd be able to join up in WWE so early. But
I'm just, at this point, does Sinclair not care? Why are you letting people that are going to go to the, I guess, I don't know if they even consider them competition anymore, to the other company still work for you or, be kind of prominent in your show? I understand New Japan, they don't care, but that's just weird to me. I don't know.
Sinclair is good with Ring of Honor where it is, I think. Because if they ever did decide to turn the corner and start investing in it more heavily, then we might have a much more serious conversation on our hands than why are they letting these guys go. But for me, I think any independent promotion out there that's not WWE is basically looking at things right now like if you're going to go, you're going to go, and there's not really a lot we can do to stop you. Because it's not just a money thing for WWE, I feel like. We're going here because, one, it's going to make our names huge, so if we ever do have to come back to wrestling after that, they're worth more money elsewhere now, and, you know, I mean, I don't think you can really put a price tag on that sort of fame where, you know, you work WWE 5 years or whatever, and then suddenly you're back on the indie scene. You can start charging a lot more money.
That too.
Yeah, very much true. Very, very interesting, and you know we'll continue to follow along and see what all happens with War Machine and Ricochet. Of course, it's going to be really fun to see when they do finally arrive in NXT. All right, well, let's talk about something really interesting, and that is WWN Live. That's right, they have their own streaming service called Club WWN. And Paul, I mean, this is interesting. They've got a few things here that I think people will find that, you know, it could be good or bad for them if they want to get into the service. Why don't you go and tell us a little bit more about this?
Right, so first things first, you don't get live streams for subscribing to this. You get it on a 2-week delay, on demand, all that great stuff. If you want to buy the live stream and you are a Club WWN subscriber, you get half off the price. So I believe that makes if you're just watching the live stream, it's $5. If you're watching if you're getting the video on demand part, which I don't know why you would, if you're going to have the Club WWN thing, it would be $7.50. So, that's probably the most interesting part. They do have a loyalty program where every time you spend money buying DVDs or on there for your subscription or anything like that, it builds up loyalty points that you can use at their shop and stuff like that to buy DVDs and whatnot. But when there's so many services out there that give you live streams of shows that are on their network or promote with them or whatever we're talking about, whether it's Powerbomb TV or FloSlam for a while or the network, the WWE network, or any sort of other thing like that, it's either you get live streams or you don't get live streams, and it's not really a combination like this where you get discounts to buy it. So that seems a little shady to me, but maybe they have to make up money from the lawsuit. I don't know.
I don't think it's shady so much. I think it's just let's see if people do it. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, at the worst, what happens is, nobody buys it? Well, you just take that option away, and somebody will report on it, and it'll be a thing for like a day, and then it'll go away. It's just an option because you know that there's people like Larry Zonka who need to review everything because that's his job, and he will pay the $5 because he needs to have it tomorrow because it's not relevant 2 weeks from now. Mm-hmm. And there will be the crazy hardcore WWN fans or the people that like, oh my God, I've got to be up to date on whatever wrestling thing is happening, and I'll pay the $5 to watch it so I can be on Twitter with everybody else. Those people may spend the money. That's what he's doing. He also knows that you paid $20 for FloSlam every month. So, what's paying $15 or $20 if they do 2 live shows? Anyway, but it doesn't seem like you're paying $20. You're just paying $5 and $5 or whatever if you want to watch it live. If not, if you can wait, there's the $10 option, and it's not a big deal. But yeah, like you're saying, this is the first time somebody's doing it, so it seems kind of weird, or seems like, you know, Gabe's double charging or or whatever. I think it's not a bad system. It just looks silly when you're supposed to be. You're also kind of tied with WWE as well, and they're giving you everything for $10, and here you are saying, "Oh, we're going to charge you for the live part."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you have to do what you have to do. And, you know, whereas WWE has the advantage of having money coming in from other areas to cover some of the, you know, more cost issues that come into play when you're streaming things and you're doing it live. There's a lot of things that come into play. Where I think WBN is trying to cover themselves, trying to make sure that they recover the money that they lose and are able to keep up with the technology to keep things live and all the things that go into that. So I kind of get it. It makes sense to me. But at the same point, yes, it's kind of annoying. And it also kind of makes you feel like you're, not getting such a great deal. But, I mean, if you really like the product, I mean, it's like anything else, you'll spend the money. And so I think that's where they're coming from. And then, like you guys mentioned, it's a test. It's seeing what they can get from you. And that's what they're doing. So it's going to be interesting. I think WBN Live is really, trying their best to continue on and make some waves. So let's jump into something else really quickly here. Let's go ahead and talk about some early reports coming out about something else really interesting here. We're hearing that some things are going down when it comes to the All In show, which will be promoted by Cody and, of course, the Young Bucks. And they're really excited about this. They really want to get this thing going. But the reports are their location possibly could be Chicago. That's where they're kind of pinpointing where they may hold this thing. I'm really curious about that. I mean, Sean, I know Chicago's a hotbed, for wrestling. It's a big, place for people to be, showing up for shows. So, what do you think about that? Do you think Chicago's the right place?
Yeah, Chicago is the right place. I mean, they've had every other sort of big show in Chicago. Right, so why not this one? I think it's smart for them to do it there. It's sort of been their the RoH sort of hotbed place to do the New Japan shows and all that stuff. Other than doing California or Philly or something like that, I think this is a good spot because people from all over can come to it. It's not the destination spot like Las Vegas or whatever, but it's still sort of in the middle of the United States where you can have so many people come flock to it, and even from outside the United States can come and if they really want to see this and then go home,
Mm-hmm. It is a big city. It does have a lot of people in it. I agree it is not a destination like New York or Los Angeles, which I think might have helped some. But we don't even know who's going to be on this card. We just know that Ring of Honor is sort of in talks to be on this show. There's a lot of other sort of ifs and buts floating around. I feel like Chicago is a great place. It's a wonderful wrestling city. It draws large crowds, and it's while it's not the other two, it certainly is a great choice. So I don't have any problems with this at all.
I'm right there with you guys. And plus, wrestling fans will have, a great location to travel to, a great pizza, a great environment, lots of good stuff. And so I think it's definitely a place that they needed to look into for sure. And if it's the one place that they think they can do it, I think they're right on that. So Will Ospreay apparently is ending with his contract with Ring of Honor, and it seems that he'll be able to go and be more free. He's no longer going to be exclusive with them, and we're going to possibly see him, or most likely see him, at Evolve during WrestleMania weekend. And so, I mean, what's up with this, Paul?
Yeah, so the contract that Will Ospreay signed with Ring of Honor was to be, he would work for them exclusively in the U.S., the U.S., however, doesn't really seem to be a focus for him right now. He obviously does a lot more work, at home in England. And he has this thing with Australia now, and obviously New Japan. And, this just sort of makes sense right now. I mean, he doesn't really have to be hampered by this deal. He can still work ROH if he wants to, I think sort of on a handshake deal or whatever. But he won't be exclusive to them anymore, which is great for Evolve and great for a lot of other places around the country.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this goes back to that whole, when Ospreay had that meeting with Paul Heyman about Evolve, and, I think he kind of always had it in his sights to come back and work for them. Don't know if this turns into something, or perhaps it's that door that opens for him to go to WWE or something like that. But I feel like that's been where he's going to wind up, and that's just been a matter of time. We can, I guess, say about, I don't know what you want to say about his time in New Japan, whether it was wasted or not. A lot of people seem to have that feeling, but he has a lot of places he could be, and to go and decide, hey, I can go work for Evolve during WrestleMania weekend, that proves that Evolve's still that hot spot,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And, I'm sure Ospreay has a lot of things that he has planned going around, and so it's probably pretty nice for him not to be exclusive just to Ring of Honor in the U.S. That's a good deal for him, and he'll probably be taking advantage of that. We got some congratulations to be given out, Sean. We've got to definitely give big congrats up to Katsuya Kitamura for winning the New Japan Young Lions Cup.
Oh, yeah. Katsuya Kitamura now deciding that he wants to go do an excursion in America as well. The man knows, all he has to do is go to Venice Beach. He'll be fitting right up there with the bros. Will fit right in, too. That man has muscles on top of muscles, and New Japan knows it, and they take advantage of that. And, he's keeps getting over more and more with the audience. I think everybody knew he was going to be in for a big push. I don't think it's a surprise he won this thing, but yeah, awesome for him.
I don't know if I would have called him a lock to win this at the start, just because I think, you obviously have Hirai Kawada, who's gotten over pretty big with the crowd as well, and Oka still seems to be the chosen one, sort of, even though he did lose to both Kawada or I think he just lost to Kitamura at the end. But at any rate, Oka still has this big sort of, or he's being traded by Nagatas exclusively. He's got all these accolades already. So, I don't know if this was a surprise. It's still great for him. He's by far, I think he's my favorite young lion out of the current crop, and him coming to the States should be absolutely wonderful. Somebody put him and Keith Lee in a ring already.
Oh, yeah. That needs to happen, like, right now. Mm-hmm. So, boy, that'd be great.
Let them chop each other to death.
Oh, could you imagine the announcers on that? He's chopping that oak tree down.
I don't imagine you need to talk during that.
Yeah, I guess so. I would just be saying, ouch, 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 ouch. So, yeah, good stuff, at least for Katsuya. Let's mention one last thing here on Quick Hits. We need to let the people know that AJ Lee, remember, she had her book come out, Crazy is My Superpower. Well, guess what? That book has taken to be a hit, and it is actually going to have its own television show. Yeah, that's right. And AJ Lee is going to be the executive producer and a writer for this show. Paul, are you thrilled about this? What do you think about it?
I'm super hyped for it. Her book was incredible. And if you haven't read it yet and you have at all any inkling or care for AJ Lee, I would absolutely recommend go out, buy it, and read it because it's terrific. It goes from, it has some pretty serious content in there, but it goes from that to a lot of dark humor pretty quickly and back and forth, and it's a wonderful story. If they can even get close to capturing sort of any of that on television, they might have themselves a good show on their hands.
Yeah. We're talking about the AJ Lee thing, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of things happening right now. So, AJ Lee's really smart. She knows what she's doing here. I have not read this book, but I imagine it's pretty good. I think this is kind of cool that AJ has been able to take a book about her life and make that into a TV show. How many people can say that? And if it's successful, that's even better. Like you're writing a freaking show about your life. It doesn't that's kind of probably high on the echelon of people to say, like, hey, I wrote a show about my life, it succeeded, and now I get to keep doing that. I mean, that's cool. Like, hey, she could be more successful in the entertainment realm or the popularity realm, even though, you know, she may not be acting on the show, than you know, her husband watching him just get punched out by somebody. So, you know, there's that.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's really cool for her, and I know that, you know, it's going to be something that I think a lot of wrestling fans will be tuning into. But I think it's also cool that it'll be a mainstream thing where you'll see a lot of people tuning in just to find out what this is about, and having the wrestling connection and all that. It's kind of a good deal, if you ask me, for them, you know, in the wrestling business. So I think, you know, for her, I mean, congrats, and for, you know, getting this thing off the ground, that's a big deal. And so you can never, you know, scoff at getting a television deal at all. So, well, good stuff there. Well, there you go, guys. That is quick hits for us.
Hold on, before you, just because I don't know how much you guys talked about this on Raw when it happened, or for 205, but apparently Kalisto might have a possible fracture from the guy throwing the water bottle at him.
Oh, that's not good. Wow. So, I mean,
he did have to get stitches from it, though.
Ooh.
His wife is not happy about it at all. She is very angry.
So could you press? I mean, it's kind of funny to say, but you know, he probably would never.
So you want me to read this thing? Is she?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, she calls it. She says the way you assaulted my husband was disgusting, to say the least. Your actions caused harm, and medical intervention was needed. I am in disbelief with those that think it's okay to ridicule someone who lives their life to entertain others. If it was you in the situation, you wouldn't be laughing, would you? What a way to spend our holidays. Stitches, MRI, and possible fracture.
Wow.
Yeah, it does suck to spend your holidays, one of your few times off in WWE, injured because someone threw a water bottle. They did catch the guy, but I think that's just stupid.
Yeah. You know, and once again, I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't press charges against the guy, but I mean,
WWE might, though. I think they said that. Like, anytime somebody tries to get in or does something they're not supposed to do in the crowd, they were going to start doing that, if I remember correctly.
I mean, they have signs posted everywhere. They're well within their legal right to do so.
And I would stand up for my superstars. You don't want to set a precedent, you know. You definitely don't want people thinking, "Oh, we'll get away with this." The other guy got away with it, you know. Because let's be honest. I mean, there's an array of things you can throw, and you know, they may not seem harmless. They may seem harmless, but they're not. You know.
Well, I remember the somebody threw that fake Money in the Bank briefcase at Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he wasn't feeling great after that either. So,
yeah.
People are. I don't get it sometimes.
I know. Hey, come on,
the
guys.
same guy that threw the beer at the football player. Like, watch it. You know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know when you'll get a Ron Artest, somebody come in the stands. You won't think it's funny after that.
Exactly. That's very true. And, you know, if this was a different decade, an earlier time, you know, wrestlers would have went in the crowd and just beat the crap out of you, not worried about the cops. You know. But now you've got...
Or found you afterwards.
Yeah, I found you. But you probably would have paid the penalty by those guys. Nowadays, they can't do that because they would risk their career. And so they can't really fight back for themselves. So now it's up to WWE.
I mean, sometimes you can't even fight back on social media because you get suspended or whatever. So,
yeah. So you're kind of at a situation that it's a hard impasse. But you know, hopefully this guy gets what comes to him, and you know, he does pay some kind of penalty. I'm not asking the guy to go to jail, but I wish he would have to pay a fine or something where WWE can make their point known that, hey, you can't do this to our superstars. And it's just really uncool. I mean, the beach ball thing is fine, but not bottles of water, beer, and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, thank you, Sean, for bringing that up. I did not read that. That's awesome. That's awesome that, you know, we're getting to hear that, you know, this is something that is serious and people need to pay attention to. So. Well, that means we are done with quick hits, though. And so that means we'll be talking Final Battle. That's right. We're finally going to get into it. We didn't do it on Tuesday because of me. I'm sorry I didn't watch it on time. But now I finally did. I finally got it. So Paul will finally get to discuss it. So let's go ahead and jump into that next.
All right. Ring of Honor, Final Battle 2017, Hammerstein Ballroom, New York City, all that great stuff. Gary, the setup looks pretty swank, I ain't gonna lie. Super professional, very clean, very modern looking. I dug it. How about you?
I did too. It looked like it was a big-time show. It really felt that way. I've only got one complaint. I'll do that complaint later. But other than that, I think that I like the lighting on the stage, at least for, well, some of the lighting. Once again, I'll get to the list stuff later. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, though. It felt like it was a big deal. So I appreciate it. It was a nice arena, too. Of course, the Hammerstein's a great place anyway. Mm-hmm. So good on that. The setting was great.
Yeah, I loved it. It was, excuse me, it was a very nice change of pace. Because, we talk about it sometimes. Some of these indie places get stuck in some pretty dark buildings. And this was very, very nicely lit, very professional looking. Although I will argue that it wasn't shot as professionally as it could have been. But once again, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Matt Taven takes on Will Ospreay in the opener here. This was awesome. First of all, 11 minutes in. Ospreay hits the big cyclone kick, easy enough for me to say, goes up for the Os Cutter, gets caught in the climax for the 3 count. Taven, first of all, gets the cool entrance with him and the Kingdom sort of killing various conspiracy figures on the way in light of the the belief conspiracy that Ring of Honor has against them. Well, this was great. I mean, Matt Taven, I think, is a little underrated as far as people who watch ROH, in my opinion. I don't want to say somebody that take for granted, but, for somebody who took sort of a bad deal at the hand of having the Kingdom and everything fall out from under him and then having to rebuild and heal up from a very serious leg injury, the dude looks like he could be a future champion as far as, their world champion down the line next year.
I am right there with you. This guy has all the intangibles. He shows it in the ring, outside of the ring. I mean, he is a star. So, yes, this matchup was really exciting. I was really happy to see it. It never felt like that Matt Taven didn't deserve to be there.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people probably out there who don't watch Ring of Honor a lot of the times, may not pay attention to Matt Taven. They know Will Ospreay, but maybe they don't know Taven. Well, guess what? If you watch this, Taven matters. And I really found myself just enjoying this through and through. I think they put on a really great performance, and I got to say it. I'm so proud of Ring of Honor for giving Matt Taven that opportunity, and he got the win here. And really, really happy to see that. To me, Will Ospreay is a super great talent, but it means even more that Matt Taven won because of that.
Yeah, I mean, Taven's somebody they've really invested a lot into. It's really cool to see all that starting to pay dividends for him too. So, and I don't want to underestimate how over the Kingdom is. Basically, wherever they go to, people do like these guys a lot. Mostly because they are relatively funny. But I mean, they're all great workers, each with their own strengths, as far as all that goes. So,
yeah, I'm right there with you. And I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, the whole Kingdom fell out from underneath Taven. I mean, it really kind of left for dead in a way.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny to say that. Yeah, and then he was able to with his personality and the way he did things here, brought it right back with 2 guys that really, honestly, people could kind of say this is a 50-50, it's going to work out. And it ended up working out, and really it is because of Taven's leadership, the way he presented it. And he's really, if you ask me, he's built these other guys up. And I really feel like the Kingdom is a solid faction. They matter. I love their music, the entrance. I really, especially this entrance, it was really cool. I love that entertainment part of it. So lots of big things I think are in store for Taven and even for the Kingdom. I'm really enjoying that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. We move on from there to tag team action as the Addiction takes on War Machine. I think this was sort of a perfect little thing here. 9 minutes, which I think is great because I don't think you really want the Addiction in there for a long time anymore, as wonderful as they can be. Long matches, probably not in their wheelhouse anymore. Lots of brawling. I thought War Machine also looked pretty darn good here. And, of course, I mean, they're one of the best tag teams in the world right now, in my opinion. So what you get here is pretty darn good. They end up winning with the fallout on Christopher Daniels. And a bit of a surprising win, maybe, because I figured at least the Addiction would want to keep building momentum as to ruining everything people in ROH and their fans love. And not maybe getting the dirty win here might have been the better way to go, but I who knows, I guess, where this is going, but
I think really War Machine is the team, like you said, that has really a lot of the momentum. They've got a lot of things going for them. Mm-hmm. The Addiction, they're really not at that point anymore. I think they're a great hand. They're really offering Ring of Honor something that's really important. That's two guys that are super experienced. They can get in the ring with anyone and really have a bang-up performance. But on that other hand, what's going on with them, and it's a little bit of story. It's a little bit of hey, we're getting older, and that mixture is working out to be okay with them. But the Addiction are not the Addiction we once knew, if I can say it that way. So we're finding our way to this new situation with them, and I think the way this all worked out, it worked out fine. I really don't have too many complaints. I get where you're coming from. I think the Addiction need victories, but I mean, I think they're really basing themselves off of just their experience and based on their name more than their wins and losses. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the difference in this situation, and they can do that. They're afforded that opportunity. So, I don't know, Paul. I'm really kind of curious where they're going to go. Of course, we'll talk more about them later, but mm-hmm. I'm really, interested because they are getting so much older.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I figured with them sort of being embroiled in a story that, let's face it, Ring of Honor has kind of put a lot of resources into as far as TV time and all that goes for the last couple of months. Maybe the Addiction would pull out the victory here, but they did not. So,
yeah.
Next up, you have what I was terming, at least I don't think I termed it on air, but off air, I had this in my head as a cheater's grudge match almost. Jay Lethal taking on Marty Scrull, and of course a lot of the build-up was that Marty wanted to face the old Jay Lethal, which is of course the heel Jay Lethal, who was the co-holder of the RoH World TV title and the World title at the same time, and all these other tremendous accolades he had during those 2 years. At the top, where he was just incredible. And we basically get that here. Marty does almost everything in his power to try to get Jay to cheat, and he just won't do it until the very end, where Jay gets the victory with a low blow and a lethal injection. This was one of the best matches on this show. Just spectacular storytelling as far as the feud goes. And, I mean, Jay Lethal and Marty Scrull, both tremendous workers, too, so you were afforded that as well. But, man, this was just awesome. I loved this, start to finish.
Yeah, I did, too. And it had its moments that were kind of slow here and there. But, I mean, I think in the end, you really realized it's not about a high-paced match. It's not about, what these guys do in general. It's the story they're telling. And that story is just what you said. It's Scroll, baiting Jay Lethal the entire time. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this building up to this match. And we continue to see it. So I think it's a big deal. They made it feel like a big deal. I love the fact that you do have in the end Jay Lethal cheating to get the victory. to me, it just kind of shows up for what could be, or just showing shades of what he used to be. I think that's exciting too. So good stuff all the way around in this matchup, though. I mean, I love Marty Scrull. I love everything he has to offer, and I think that it was a great matchup between the villain and Jay Lethal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, can't wait to see where this goes, because I don't think this ends here. Honestly, Jay Lethal has to keep questioning himself, and I want to see Marty keep on poking the bear, essentially. So,
yeah, me too.
Following that, you have the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles up for grab as the Motor City Machine Guns defend against the Best Friends of Trent Beretta and Chucky T. I kind of was hoping for better things here. This kind of just keeps my belief going that the Motor City Machine Guns, too, are getting older. They're a step slower. And when they try to work that old style that I still think they are, they just can't really keep up anymore. Whereas the Best Friends, I thought were wonderful in this. They were the usual selves, which was great, and the crowd loved it as well. So the Guns do retain here after basically a surprise cradle here from Sabin after a big pile driver on Shelley. Looks like it might have ended things, but it was not to be.
Yeah, this is a matchup that I was really wanting to love.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I mean, the Best Friends are, really fun. They're crowd favorite, and the Motor City Machine Guns are, not far behind. I mean, there's a lot of people behind them, but in this matchup, you really kind of found yourself lost. Who do you root for? That's the biggest question. I mean, the Machine Guns are not heels. They're not bad guys, and the Best Friends are, kind of fan favorites. So who do you really kind of find yourself behind? And that's the deal about this. I think that's kind of the part of the reason I think maybe we were taken away from being super invested in it. You don't have that heel face thing that you have sometimes. It kind of takes control of your emotions. The match itself was fine. They did some fun spots. They did some things that, you're happy with. But I just don't know if this whole match blew me away. Even the finish just did not blow me away. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, am I upset that the Motor City Machine Guns are still champions? No, not one bit. It don't really affect me, and that's fine. But I do want to see better for the Best Friends. I want to see them do more stuff, and hoping things work out for them in the future. But for right now, this was an okay match.
Okay, I think about sums it up bell to bell. As fun as the Best Friends were, it wasn't meant to be with the layout and the finish. It's just kind of blech to me. So
yeah, the best spot to me was the spot, I forget which one, was hanging upside down, but when basically crotch to face with the Best Friends.
Yes,
I got to give him credit for that.
Which does get some "you sick, you know what" chants, which is wonderful. We move on from there to the TV title elimination match as Kenny King defends against Martinez, Shane Taylor, and Silas Young. Punishment sort of has some weird zombie guys lead him to the ring. Kenny King gets a special sort of video package where he calls out his opponents for the evening. This kind of sucked, honestly, because I was expecting a lot, and what we get here is just a lot of guys sort of going through the motions. The crowd isn't really into this at all. It's just sort of flat the whole way through. Mm-hmm. The only thing that really sort of saves it for me is that Silas is the one walking out with the title here, as he ends up pinning Punishment at the end here after Misery. Silas Young, I'm sure me and Gary could just do a whole show on how great Silas Young is, but one of the most unsung heroes here on ROH finally getting a spotlight is the best thing to come out of this.
I agree, and here's the thing. I think the biggest problem with this matchup was all the guys involved, they wanted to protect.
Mm-hmm.
You want to protect every single person in this match.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's funny I say this because maybe Silas Young is the less likely to be protected. I think that they love Punishment Martinez. They want to see him do good things. They really don't want to see him lose. but they needed him in a big matchup. Shane Taylor the same way, the dominant guy, the guy that has been a wrecking ball in the Ring of Honor at times. You got to protect him, and then you run yourself over and talk about Kenny King, who has really done some good things and really doesn't need to start taking losses. So I think it ended up being like that. They tried a little too hard to have a good Fatal 4-Way, but yet not make everybody look bad. Mm-hmm. And I think that got in their way a little bit, and that's just my personal opinion. I just kind of felt like it got in their way sometimes. And then you started getting the eliminations, and then Shane Taylor going out first was a little bit of a surprise for me. But no hate on it. It was a little surprise. And then, it goes down from there where you're in a situation where it's, Silas Young and, Punishment Martinez. And I just found myself at times just wanting it to be better. And it was just never really reached that plateau. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy for Silas Young. Like you said, we could talk about him all day. I love him. But the match itself was not as a humdinger as I wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that Silas has started his title reign off like this with sort of a whimper instead of a bang, but they do set up a lot of stuff in here. I mean, Punishment obviously seems like he could be chasing here. It definitely feels like Kenny's going to get a rematch since he gets eliminated with a beer bottle. I think Shane Taylor's sort of the only one left tailing out in the win, and that's okay because he has the whole Hitman thing going. He's got a lot outside of a championship chase to sort of keep him going. And I think you're spot on, too. Like, a lot of these guys, I think Ring of Honor has a lot invested with, especially when it comes to Punishment Martinez, who I feel like they want to be a big deal. And they're just sort of waiting for either the crowd to catch on or for Punishment to sort of get the opportunity to go out and do something that forces it. But there's a lot of start and stopping in this match. There's a lot of ups and downs, and the downs unfortunately kind of go a little too long. That just sort of take you out of it, and by the end you're just sort of grateful that Silas wins. So
yeah, very grateful though. I will say that thing, So
yeah. After that, we get to the New York City street fight. Tommy Dreamer teaming up with Bully Ray to take on the Briscoes. Dreamer and Bully come out through the crowd, a la ECW. They cheers a beer, a la Sandman. Basically doing everything they can to channel this ECW into their spirit as they take on the Briscoes. I enjoyed this. I thought it was fun. It felt very much like a throwback to ECW, which I'm pretty sure was part of the point here with this, more than likely, in my opinion, being Bully Ray's last match. And Bully, to his credit, takes a lot more bumps than a man with a bruised brain probably should.
Yeah.
However, they do end up falling prey to the Briscoes here after sort of a botched 3D on a table that doesn't break, and Mark has to use the froggy bow to put Bully through it to get the victory. I enjoyed this. It was a fun match, and I just don't know if I got everything I was expecting. I don't know. I had fun with it. I think that's about all I can say.
Fun may be the perfect word. Because I don't think you could say this match was great. I don't think you could say this match was just the most solid match or anything like that. It's your normal hardcore match. Mm-hmm. And you're right. The beginning of it, you did feel that ECW feel like, oh man, this is something special. Look at the weapons. Oh, this is amazing. It's going to be exciting. All those great things. But once you actually get in the match itself, you find out that this is not all about just this revenge and out for blood. It's more about entertaining the fans and entertaining themselves, and they're chanting, not chanting, but you have Bully do the 3 count for let's get the tables, and you have some silly things in there that kind of cartoony. To where it's just, oh, come on, I thought this was a blood feud, and it's not. Even though Bully Ray got color, he got the color, he got the bleed. Mm-hmm. It still, at the end of the day, felt like it was fun and not as much hardcore as I really wanted it to be. And I'm not bloodthirsty. I'm not wanting to see, Bully and Tommy Dreamer out there bleeding their heads out and just dying. But I just really expected more hardcore stuff and not some of the lighthearted stuff we saw.
It is sort of a weird disconnect, because this is a match where they busted out the cheese grater and they sort of threatened to light a table on fire near the end and some other things, but this is also a match that has the guys take out lightsabers and hit each other with them, so...
That's exactly the lighthearted stuff I'm talking about. I mean, sure, Paul, that's fun, right? The new movie's out. It's great. I love the line of, oh, look, they got the Force, with them, and then, of course, the crowd chants about the Force, and that's fun. But once again, if I'm pissed off at some people for ruining my gym, for, trying to end my career, end me, I could give a care less about a lightsaber. I just want to kill them. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of weird. It takes me away from the feud a little bit. I start to not remember what the feud is about when they start taking out lightsabers.
And that's a very, very fair point. And to me, if this may or may not have been Bully Ray's last match, and he wasn't hurt, I'm sure we would have gotten the flip side of this, where it's Bully and Jay and Tommy and Mark out there just trying to kill each other. But with it being Bully Ray's last match, I kind of feel like this is sort of the way he wanted to go out. It's brutal yet entertaining and fun and sort of everything I think that Bully Ray sort of encapsulated throughout his career. So if this was the last match, I think it's something that he would be immensely proud of. I don't know if he is or not, but it was a very fun match, and if it was Bully Ray's goodbye, I feel like it was very fitting.
Yeah, I think it's an okay way to leave the business, or at least in ring business, not down at the actual wrestling business itself.
Right.
I think it's fine. I think it works for him. It's okay. It's a hardcore match. It's all good. But just I got to be honest. Overall, it was fun. It had its points, but it was not something that you're going to probably be talking about a year from now.
Right. After this, we get the Women of Honor announcement that we talked about on Monday, which if you haven't listened to yet, they're going to do a tournament next year, starting on January 20th, to crown the first ever Women of Honor champion. They bring out most of their stars here: Brandy Rhodes, Deonna Purrazzo, Jenny Rose, Jessie Brooks, Kelly Klein, Mandy Leon, Stella Gray, Sumi Sakai, and Stardom's Mayu Iwatani, which is a huge deal. I'm kind of excited about this. I've been a big proponent of Women Honor since the start. I've watched most of the shows that they've done. It's a really fun time. Some of the wrestling isn't always that great because they do use some people that are relatively green at times, but I mean, this is sort of a big deal if they're going to focus in on it and go all in at this time. I'm very supportive of this idea.
Me too. I think this is something that's a long time coming, and I think a lot of people think that that's nothing new. I'm not breaking news here, or being the first to say that, but I'm just right there with the rest of you guys. I think this is excellent, cool deal for the women of Ring of Honor. This is the one part of the show I'll say that they lit the entire show except the stage to where you could see these ladies come out, and I'm just being honest. It was so dim up there. Yeah. At least from my perspective, boy, I mean, it was more like the silhouettes of Honor. So
I think the live crowd felt that way too, because I don't think they could see them.
Yeah. So all you see is these black figures. No racial content. Basically, what I mean by that is dark faces without any racial connotation because of the no lighting. But you can see the rest of their body and all that. But it's just, to me, it didn't feel special because of that reason, and I hate that. And I'll be honest with you, if you'll even watch the tape again, you'll even notice that even the referee kind of had some dark spots on him because the shadows and all that. Even the title itself, they were showcasing the title. I'm like, man, y'all don't even have enough light on that title to make it have its full detail. So I don't know, just my nitpicking.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm really surprised they didn't have at least walk him to the ring. This is kind of supposed to be a big moment. At least let him get in there, be sort of center stage, have the title in there, do all that, and sure, it's going to be a little longer, but I mean, you have some bigger names in here, especially Mayu Iwatani, which I would assume most of this crowd, or at least some of them, would be familiar with. You know, that could have been a much bigger pop for you, and instead it's just sort of, it's also very rushed too. They sort of, like, the girls sort of walk out, and it's very rapid fire, and then here's the belt, and then we're moving on. You know, so
yep,
another problem.
I agree. Yeah, and that's something that concerns you, because you're thinking, man, if they're willing to debut him like this and talk about him like this, are they really going to focus on him? So we'll see.
So we got 2 matches left here. First up, the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles are up for grabs as the Hung Bucks defend against Flip Gordon, Dragon Lee, and Teton. And with all those names in there, this is basically exactly what you would expect. Fun, frantic, Young Buck type match, lots of flippies, super kicks, all that great stuff. Really, really fun match. I enjoyed myself. I thought the finish was maybe a little quick, but, 15 minutes in a crazy 6-man scramble sort of thing is maybe just what the doctor ordered. But, the Indy Taker, Meltzer Driver, Rite of Passage combo just looks phenomenal. And the Shooting Star Indy Taker on the outside is great. I love this 6-man team, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Hi, and how could you not? I mean, the action involved is just really amazing. It blows your mind at times how athletic these guys are, and how every time you see, especially the Young Bucks, you just really start to think to yourself, man, these guys are something special. I think this was a really fun match, and I think that they gave you some really high quality. So I'm fairly happy with everything that took place. I really am, and I look at Flip Gordon and I tell myself every time, this guy is going to be huge. He's going to be a big baby face, because all his actions, everything he did in this match, is just right there alongside what the Young Bucks were doing, and I just felt like they really had some good things in their favor when it came to this matchup for both sides. So you got to have the Humbucks winning, but I got to think Flip Gordon and his team really kind of deserves some props too for all their efforts.
It certainly feels like at least the Young Bucks see the same thing you do, and it's not too hard to really put that together. I mean, Flip Gordon does, I think, a lot of things the Young Bucks do, obviously relying a lot more on flips and kicks and all these other things that sort of more modern wrestling is about these days. I don't have a problem with that. The thing is here too that this match, and specifically the spot where everybody drop kicks each other to basically no point, got a whole lot of buzz on social media, a lot of negative connotations from some people outside of wrestling, some older fans. Sort of picking at it, saying like this is unnecessary. You get that same like acrobatics thing, and it certainly is on display here because that's what all 6 of these guys do. I guess what I'm trying to get at here is this does seem like the direction I think a lot of independent wrestling is going for the most part, and then that's not to say that there aren't promotions who don't do this or who certainly put less of a focus on it. And I might be asking the wrong person here, too, because I think you're probably closer to sort of where I am on this, too. But do you have a problem with anything that was going on here?
Well, back in my day, in 1952, we didn't. No, I think really, honestly, I think I am more on par with you on this. I've always been a fan of the entertainment side of this thing. I love the sport part. Trust me, the sport part's great too, but I think the entertainment part's a huge factor in wrestling. And so I have no problem with these guys going out and doing what they did, the performance that they put on. And sure, it wasn't like they were selling a lot. It wasn't like that they were out ground-based a lot. But I think there's a point to this. And recently on a podcast, I heard someone say that everybody kind of has their own thing, and that's what makes all these guys great, because everybody kind of has their own niche. And the Young Bucks, this is what they propel at. This is what, Flip Gordon propels at, and that's, having these crazy, flippy, just nutty matches where selling isn't really there or it doesn't really matter all the time. So I think really this match, let the old timers hate on it, but I think it was a really solid match. I think it did what it needed to do, and I think for the most part, all the fans were happy to see it. In this day and age, I doubt very many fans are sitting back saying I hated that, because it wasn't a chain wrestling match.
I mean, to me, I think this is just sort of what indie wrestling is now, is sort of pushing that boundary of. And that's the whole point why it's indie, It's meant to push boundaries. It's promotions trying to find a niche and something that will get people to pay attention and take notice. And for a lot of people, like the Young Bucks, like Will Ospreay, like Ricochet, like Flip Gordon, it's worked. I mean, Ospreay and Ricochet made it on the SportsCenter because all their flips went viral. I mean, it's insane. So to say it doesn't have an audience or anything like that, or it's the wrong way to go about wrestling, is just silly to me. And we're going to have this conversation a lot throughout our time, for however long the show goes, I'm sure, just talking about wrestling. And when the line maybe goes too far, might be an interesting conversation, but there's nothing like outrageously bad about this match. I mean, come on, people.
Well, I think you could compare this match to any other Young Bucks match. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, to be really honest, I think the difference you may see is there's not a guy as athletic as Flip Gordon on some of these other matches, but he was on this one. And maybe that's what people have a problem with, is you don't just have the Young Bucks doing it, you also have the baby faces doing it, and that's a problem for them. But not for me. I think it was good, and I'm honestly, without any issues with it. So
yeah. Scorpio Sky is doing commentary during this match, and I use commentary loosely because he barely talks. But he's there to sort of support Flip Gordon, who he recently teamed up with to take on the Young Bucks and Adam Page on RoH TV. After the match, he goes into the ring to check on him. The Addiction comes into the ring to attack the Young Bucks and Adam Page, to which he sort of jumps in on and then turns around. And the camera completely misses this, but they miss Scorpio attacking Flip as well, and he seemingly aligns with the Addiction, doing a pose with him and all this other stuff, so it looks like they might be the next up to challenge, which to me, this makes a lot of sense as far as the Addiction goes, of taking on the Bullet Club, because they are obviously one of the biggest acts in Ring of Honor. If you're going to truly attack what they love, this is the way to do it. I like Sky here. It's somebody young to get a rub from all this too, or I shouldn't say young, new, that they could push out of this. And Scorpio Sky does have a connection with these guys with PWG and all that great stuff too. So interesting to see where all of this goes, in my opinion. Oh no. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there,
can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I had my mute button on accident because I was coughed. Sorry about that. I forgot to put it back on. That's what happens. You don't want to cough everybody's heads off and then all of a sudden. What we're talking about here, it's really interesting. And, I'm blanking on what I was just talking about now. Talking about coughing. What match we're talking about?
We're talking about Scorpio Sky aligning with the
Thank
Addiction.
you, Scorpio Sky. Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I think that's kind of a cool deal. I think the Addiction, we talked about them earlier, right? Like, they're on their own little path, and it's kind of predictable. Throwing a Scorpio Sky in this, it actually adds a dynamic to these guys. It actually makes them a little freshened up. And I think it throws a whole new addition to what they can do now, and I'm appreciative of it. I like the fact that they come out and attack, and the reason they attack is to do what? Well, what they do, they ruin everything because they're out to get payback for Ring of Honor because Christopher lost his title and all that, and
right.
It just is really cool that they can now add someone else to it who is going to make things a little bit more interesting, if I can say it that way. It's not the same old hat.
Right. And I certainly do appreciate that direction, too. And like you, I think adding Scorpio is an interesting choice, and we'll see, like I said, where all this takes us as we move on down the road. However, we got one more match to talk about. RoH World Title on the line. Cody, whatever you want to call him, defends against Dalton Castle. Dalton has a whole bunch of boys with him and a really kind of cool entrance overall, if you ask me. Cody's dyed his hair blonde. He's got the new RoH title with him, which I think looks super pretty. And we're sort of off to the races. Dalton Castle, first of all, pulls us out 12 minutes, or 13 minutes or so, with the Bangarang. I think the crowd is about as shocked as everybody else watching in TV land here. So New Japan has already come out and said this doesn't change the match. It's still Cody and Kota Ibushi at the Dome, which is, whatever. Dalton Castle winning the championship here is super intriguing to me. For one, it is one of the most over acts I think they sort of created from the ground up to ever come through Ring of Honor. And they go all out in the post-match celebration, too. And, it wasn't the best match ever, and I'm sure whenever you hear Cody in a match, maybe it won't be, but Dalton as the champion, to me, feels like the right choice. Cody sort of threw the ball up in the air and sort of is going to let people try to chase what he did, and he can keep on drawing outside of the title scene. But I think Dalton is going to be Ring of Honor sort of superstar throughout next year, and that makes me insanely excited.
You're telling me. I'm a huge Dalton Castle fan, so if that's the case, I will be a very happy man talking Ring of Honor with you. I think all of this rounds out to just show that, Cody's got other things going on, and he doesn't have to be the Ring of Honor champion to go and do these other things, and that's very happy for the fact that, well, let's be honest, Cody can lose matches here and there, and it's not about, the Ring of Honor champion lost.
Right.
So that's the biggest positive thing, especially going into a show like, Wrestle Kingdom. Mm-hmm. So. I think this is the right direction. I'm really happy for Dalton Castle. I'm really, really excited. A little freaked out about the blonde dye for Cody.
It was a very loud blonde.
I thought to myself, I thought you were trying to stay away from me in Gold Dust, but you're not. I also got a little scared that Sting had came back without wearing makeup from the early days of Sting. But it is what it is. Let's see where he goes with all that hair dye. But in the end, Dalton Castle, congratulations. A match that was actually pretty good. I wouldn't say my favorite match. Definitely not my favorite Cody match that he's done. Mm-hmm. But I think it was a solid match. Same goes for Dalton Castle. It's not my favorite match he's ever done, but I think it was solid, and I'm glad that it happened.
Me too. The live crowd certainly seemed to be into it. I mean, everywhere I've gone on the internet also seems to be into the idea too. So, we just got to rate this bad boy, Gary. What you gonna give it?
I think overall a really entertaining show. They gave you a lot of ups and some great moments. Not all the matches were just giant. Not all of them were just great. I think you had a lot of solid performances here. I think for me, I think overall, especially with the production value and everything, I'm going to give it a 7. I think they put on a good show. A lot of the people I wanted to win got victories, so I think that's probably why I'm going to be a little biased and give it a 7.
I think I'm right there with you. This is a very enjoyable show. There are some sort of down moments on the card here. Especially in the middle. I think there's some production issues as well, as me and Gary talked about throughout the show. And we really just sort of talked about the big ones. There's some minor gaffes here or there too. But this is still really great all the way around. I think giving the title to Dalton was a nice surprise for everybody who assumed that Cody was basically a lock, especially with Wrestle Kingdom around the corner. I'm going 7 too. This is a very enjoyable show, well worth your 3 hours if you want to give it to it.
Oh, definitely. So make sure you go check it out if you haven't already. We appreciate you hearing our opinion about it. But, sometimes you got to see things for yourself. So take the time to go do that. That rounds out Ring of Honor Final Battle. But now we are going to talk about who we're going to crown as Superstar of the Week. So we'll be right back with that next.
Superstar of the Week.
Go for it, Gary.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to give a point this week to Silas Young.
Yeah, Silas captures the TV title, which maybe is the best thing to come out of that match because the action may not have been worth much, but Silas getting a championship in a spotlight and Ring of Honor going forward means great things are ahead.
Definitely, and once again, I mean, this is a guy that I love to death, so it was going to be hard not to give him a point. We're going to give 2 points over to the Young Bucks.
Yeah, the Young Bucks not only have a really fun six-man tag team title match on the pay-per-view Final Battle, but this week on RoH TV, them and Kenny Omega and the Best Friends put on one heck of a match that I would absolutely recommend you guys go out. And the common denominator and all that is the Young Bucks, so they get 2 points.
For sure. 3 points are going to go to Dalton Castle.
A good match with Cody. Maybe not a stellar one that you would really want to sort of kick off a new title reign, and maybe a change in direction for Ring of Honor and all that, but this is certainly a landmark win for Dalton Castle, and somebody who I eagerly look forward to watching try to capture the imagination of everybody tuning in as the champ next year.
For sure. This is such a big deal. So I'm really, really happy for him. If it was a slower week in wrestling, he'd probably get to 5. But this week, I mean, we've got some great guys, so it's hard. We're going to give 4 points over to AJ Styles.
AJ Styles successfully defends the WWE World Title at Clash of the Champions. I think having a pretty good match with Jinder since I've managed to watch Clash in between then. Proving once again why he, basically is one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. Plus, fun match over on SmackDown in that main event in the six-man tag as well.
Yeah, for sure. 5 points are given to our superstar of the week, Pete Dunne.
I don't know if I have any more fresh things to say about Pete Dunne. The dude is just awesome. My opinion, one of the top 5 best workers in the world right now. Dude is can't miss. Him and Tyler Bate put on one hell of a trilogy this year. Go watch their match on NXT this week. You will not regret it one bit.
Not at all. And you know how all the time, every time I talk about the Young Bucks, I always say their money. Mm-hmm. Guess what? So was Pete Dunne.
So was Pete Dunne. Yeah.
Oh my God. And him and Tyler Bate. I'm not leaving Tyler Bate out of that discussion because he is too. Those two guys just did a wonderful job. I mean, are really entertaining. The skills that they have, it showcases in every single match that they have together. But I'll just say this. Pete Dunne is one of my favorites, and I think he has everything that he needs to be a big deal. And I think he kind of already is in a way, but he can be even a bigger deal if he wants to. So, congratulations to Pete Dunne. I'm really, really happy for him, and 5 points are well deserved this week for him. So, well, there you go. That is our Superstar of the Week, and that is our show for the week. Wow, we got through this one pretty, seems like quick because we've had a lot of fun, but no, it's not. But we really, I know, sometimes I just have so much fun on the show. I'm like, oh, that was 10 minutes, and then look at the deal, and it's like, oh, an hour 30. Oh, yeah. God, sorry. Oh, boy. Sorry, fans. But anyway, this has been a lot of fun, and we hope that you guys all have enjoyed it. We want you guys to know if you want to come find all our other great content, go check out W2Mnet.com. It's the place where you go find all our great wrestling podcasts and all the other podcasts that we have to offer over there, like sports. We also have video games, along with some great stuff when it comes to entertainment. So you don't want to miss a minute of the action. Go to W2Mnet.com now. Also, go subscribe, rate, and review over at Wrestling to the Max or the W2M Network. Whatever one you choose, just make sure you hit that 5-star rating. Make sure you leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe, because if you do, you'll have to search for us again and keep doing it and keep searching. And at least now when you subscribe, you'll get it all in one place, and you'll never have to go search us out again. You'll have everything you want right there. And we want to make sure we give some love to FormulaMania.com and LastWordOnProWrestling.com. Both have great content when it comes to the world of wrestling. Don't miss a minute of the action over there as well. And yeah, that pretty much rounds out everything that we have to offer right now. Of course, like I said, don't forget W2Mnet.com has some big things. Sean, you just did a video games podcast that had to do with a lot of the big games this year, and I know fans of video games will love to go check that one out.
Yeah, we just decided the top 25 games for the site between 4 different people. That's just a segment of the staff, but that'll get fleshed out in separate articles that we're going to do, highlighting the games and everything. It's kind of fun just to be able to debate and discuss that on the podcast and have that there for them to listen to. And then you can go on the site and see it in a more formal manner, and it looks pretty with the pictures and all that stuff. So. Plus, not everything is the same. Like, you don't have people that podcast has been around long before the site was. So, you got different people listening that may visit and all that too. Good chance for cross promotion there.
For sure. So that's just a tidbit of everything we have to offer at W2Mnet.com. Just wanted to make sure we plug that real quick. If
you want to get angry about some Star Wars, we do have a audio Star Wars review from the Radless guys. They did 3 hours talking about the movie and everything else. So, whether you loved it like I did or you hated it like a lot of people did, you can voice your opinion in there. Comment either on the site or YouTube or wherever.
For sure. Once again, I mean, that's great content to go check out. And, it's one of those ones that I want to go listen to now to go find out what people are thinking. So, yeah, well, man, it's been fun. We hope you guys all have a great holiday. Have a Merry, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Enjoy your entire family or friends or whoever you're spending the holidays with. Just enjoy every minute. Keep yourself safe. Please, don't go out drinking and driving. Don't go texting and driving, trying to find out where, Sears is or whatever still around, Macy's. Make sure, you make sure you keep your eyes on the road so everybody gets to enjoy their holiday and don't kill anyone in the process. And I'll try to do the same because trust me, I still got 2 days of work to go and that could happen. So anyway, we appreciate you guys. We will catch you guys next week. So there's some big shows coming. We will technically be coming to you guys Christmas night. Most of you will get the show though on Tuesday morning. And of course we'll do some of those great things like I talked about. We'll be doing some stuff when it comes to, New Year's resolutions. We're talking about that stuff. We'll also be getting some other things next week that you're going to want to hear. So make sure you come check out episode 229 or 279. I'm going back in time. 279 next week. Really looking forward to that, and some big stuff coming your way, and the Raw review and all that will be out too. So don't miss a minute of the action. Thank you for joining us, and have a Merry, Merry Christmas.
The previous podcast has been an original W2Mnet.com production. For more great content like this, go to W2Mnet.com for the worlds of wrestling, video games, entertainment, and sports. From our family to yours, happy holidays and a Merry Christmas.